something that happens to your physical appearance when you're in relationship with an avoidant person, something that occurs so gradually you don't notice it while it's happening, something that reveals itself only when you look at photographs from before the relationship began and compare them to how you look now, something that shocks you when you finally see it, because the difference is undeniable and disturbing, and makes you wonder how you allowed yourself to deteriorate this much without recognizing what was occurring. You look exhausted. Not the exhausted that comes from one bad night of sleep, but the exhausted that lives in your face permanently. Dark circles under your eyes that won't disappear regardless of how much you sleep. A heaviness in your features that wasn't there before. A dullness in your eyes that used to have light and energy and vitality. Your skin looks worse. Breakouts you never used to deal with. Dryness or excessive oiliness. An unhealthy pallor that makes you look perpetually unwell. Premature aging that seems to have accelerated dramatically during the time you've been with them. Your body has changed in ways that don't feel healthy. Maybe you've gained significant weight from stress eating, or from the depression that's been creeping in unacknowledged. Or maybe you've lost weight in unhealthy ways, from the anxiety that's destroying your appetite and making food feel impossible to enjoy. Or maybe your body composition has shifted in ways that represent decline in your physical condition rather than improvement. Your hair looks lifeless. The shine is gone. The health is diminished. You're noticing more falling out than seems normal, and the vitality it used to have has been replaced by dullness that mirrors the overall depletion you're experiencing. You're not taking care of yourself the way you used to. The grooming routine has been abbreviated or abandoned. The exercise that used to be regular has become sporadic or non-existent. The attention you used to pay to your appearance and your health has been replaced by just getting through each day with minimum effort because you have nothing left to give after managing the emotional chaos the relationship creates. And perhaps most noticeably, your energy has changed. The vibrancy that used to characterize your presence has diminished. The confidence that used to be visible in how you carried yourself has been replaced by something that looks like defeat. The attraction you used to naturally generate through your aliveness has been dulled by the chronic stress and unhappiness that now defines your internal state and shows clearly on your external presentation. This isn't vanity. This isn't about superficial concern with appearance. This is about the visible physical manifestation of what loving an avoidant person does to your body and your health and your vitality when their patterns create chronic stress that your system cannot adequately process or escape from. The avoidant isn't intentionally trying to make you physically unattractive. They're not consciously working to damage your appearance or diminish your health. But their patterns, the emotional unavailability, the hot and cold behavior, the withdrawal and return cycles, the withholding of affection and validation, the creation of constant uncertainty about where you stand. These patterns create physiological stress responses in your body that compound over time and eventually express themselves in ways that are visible to anyone who looks at you. Your body is keeping score even when your mind is trying to minimize or rationalize what's happening. Your appearance is reflecting the toll that chronic emotional stress is taking on every system in your body. And understanding how this happens, how the avoidance specific patterns create specific stress responses that lead to specific physical deteriorations, helps you recognize what's occurring before the damage becomes more severe. Helps you understand that your declining appearance isn't random or inevitable, but is directly connected to the relationship you're in, and helps you recognize that protecting your physical health and your appearance requires addressing the source of the stress rather than trying to treat the symptoms while remaining in the situation that's creating them. The specific physiological mechanisms through which their patterns damage your physical appearance and health. The avoidance behavioral patterns don't just affect you emotionally, they create measurable physiological stress responses in your body that compound over time and manifest as visible, physical deterioration. Understanding the mechanisms helps you recognize the connection between their behavior and your declining appearance. The chronic unpredictability of their hot and cold behavior keeps your nervous system in constant state of hypervigilance that elevates cortisol levels and creates sustained inflammatory response throughout your body. When the avoidant is warm and present, your nervous system begins to relax. You feel safe. You feel connected. Your body starts to settle into parasympathetic state, where healing and restoration occur. But before your system fully settles, they withdraw. They go cold. They create distance. Your nervous system, which was beginning to relax, suddenly spikes back into stress response. You're anxious again, uncertain again, trying to figure out what changed and what you did wrong and whether they're coming back. This cycle repeats constantly throughout the relationship. The unpredictability means your nervous system never fully settles into sustained parasympathetic state where actual rest and recovery occur. Instead, you're chronically in sympathetic activation, fight or flight mode that's supposed to be temporary but has become your baseline. This chronic activation elevates cortisol, your primary stress hormone. Elevated cortisol over extended periods breaks down collagen in your skin, creating premature aging, wrinkles, loss of elasticity. Elevated cortisol promotes fat storage around your midsection while breaking down muscle tissue. Elevated cortisol disrupts your sleep architecture, preventing the deep restorative sleep where cellular repair occurs. Elevated cortisol suppresses your immune system, making you more susceptible to illness and making your skin more prone to inflammation, breakouts, redness, and poor healing. The hot and cold pattern isn't just emotionally destabilizing. It's physiologically aging you faster than normal life stress would age you. Their emotional withholding and lack of validation creates chronic state of emotional pain that your brain processes similarly to physical pain, triggering same inflammatory pathways that manifest in your physical appearance. When you're in relationship with avoidant, who withholds emotional availability, who doesn't provide validation or reassurance, who makes you feel perpetually uncertain about whether you're valued, your brain experiences this as pain. Not metaphorical pain, but actual pain that activates the same neural pathways that physical pain activates. Studies using brain imaging show that social rejection and emotional pain light up the same areas of the brain as physical injury. Your brain experiencing chronic emotional pain responds by triggering inflammatory processes throughout your body. This inflammation affects your skin, creating conditions like acne, eczema, psoriasis, or general redness and sensitivity. This inflammation affects your joints and muscles, creating tension, pain, and reduced mobility that makes exercise uncomfortable and therefore less likely. This inflammation affects your digestive system, creating issues that affect nutrient absorption and elimination, which in turn affects your skin quality, your energy levels, and your overall health. The emotional pain of loving someone who withholds connection isn't just in your head. It's creating real inflammatory responses in your body that are making you look and feel physically worse. The constant anxiety about where you stand in the relationship creates chronic tension in your facial muscles and jaw that physically alters your appearance over time. When you're anxious, which is constantly when you're with an avoidant because you never know where you stand, your facial muscles tense, your jaw clenches, your forehead furrows, your face holds expression of worry or stress or tension as its baseline rather than holding relaxed, neutral expression. Over time, this chronic tension creates visible changes. The muscles around your eyes tighten, creating crow's feet and making your eyes look smaller and more tired. Your jaw clenching creates tension headaches, creates premature wear on your teeth, creates a tight drawn quality to your lower face that makes you look stressed, even when you're trying to appear relaxed. Your forehead holding worried expression creates deep lines between your eyebrows that age you significantly. The chronic facial tension also restricts blood flow to facial tissues, reducing the healthy glow and color that adequate circulation provides. Your face quite literally shows the anxiety you're carrying. People who look at you can see the stress and the worry and the tension even if they don't consciously identify what they're seeing. They just register that you look tired, stressed, older, less attractive than you actually are beneath the chronic tension. Their inconsistent presence in your life disrupts your sleep patterns in ways that compound over time and create the visible effects of chronic sleep deprivation. The avoidance patterns make consistent sleep nearly impossible. When they're distant or withdrawn, you lie awake at night trying to figure out what went wrong, replaying conversations, analyzing their behavior, worrying about whether they're losing interest or whether the relationship is ending. When they're present and warm, you might sleep better temporarily, but your nervous system hasn't fully recalibrated, so your sleep is still not fully restorative. The hot and cold cycles mean you never establish consistent sleep routine. Some nights, you're kept awake by anxiety. Some nights, you sleep but wake frequently checking your phone to see if they've messaged. Some nights, your dreams are consumed with relationship stress and you wake unrefreshed. This chronic sleep disruption has profound effects on your appearance. Your skin loses its ability to repair itself. The cellular regeneration that occurs during deep sleep isn't happening adequately, so your skin looks dull and ages faster. The dark circles under your eyes become permanent features because the delicate skin there is showing the effects of chronic poor circulation and lack of cellular repair. Your metabolism is disrupted by poor sleep, making weight management difficult and making your body composition shift in unhealthy directions. Your cognitive function declines from poor sleep, showing in your facial expressions and your energy and your overall presence as someone who looks perpetually exhausted because you are perpetually exhausted. The depression that develops from sustained emotional neglect and uncertainty changes your posture, your gait, your facial expressions, and your overall energy in ways that make you physically less attractive, regardless of your actual features. Depression isn't just internal emotional state. It manifests physically in ways everyone can observe. Your posture collapses, shoulders round forward, head tilts down, spine curves in ways that make you look defeated. Your gait changes. You move more slowly, with less energy, with less purpose. Your facial expressions become flatter, less animation, less responsiveness, less engagement with what's around you. Your voice changes, lower energy, less inflection, less enthusiasm. Your eye contact decreases. You look down more, avoid sustained visual connection with others. All of these physical manifestations of depression make you less attractive, not because your features have changed, but because the vitality and aliveness that make people attractive has been dampened. You're walking through life like someone who's been defeated, and this defeated quality is visible to everyone who encounters you. The avoidance patterns, creating the emotional neglect and the chronic uncertainty, are directly causing the depression that's changing how you physically present in the world. How the relationships impact on your self-care and daily habits accelerates the physical decline. Beyond the direct physiological stress responses, the avoidant relationship also damages your appearance by disrupting the self-care behaviors that normally maintain your health and attractiveness. Understanding how the relationship undermines these behaviors helps you recognize how the deterioration is compounding. The emotional exhaustion from managing the relationship leaves you with no energy for the exercise routine that used to maintain your physical health and appearance. Exercise requires energy, physical energy to do the workout, but also mental and emotional energy to motivate yourself, to plan the workout, to prioritize your own physical health when there are many other demands on your time and attention. When you're in relationship with avoidant, the relationship consumes enormous emotional energy. You're constantly managing your own anxiety about where you stand. You're processing the pain of their withdrawal. You're trying to understand their behavior. You're having difficult conversations or avoiding difficult conversations. You're managing the emotional volatility that comes from someone who's hot and cold. This emotional labor is exhausting. By the end of each day, you're depleted. The idea of exercising, of going to the gym, of going for a run, of doing workout at home feels impossible because you have nothing left to give. The exercise routine that used to be a regular part of your life becomes sporadic, then rare, then non-existent. The loss of regular exercise accelerates physical decline. Your cardiovascular health suffers. Your muscle tone deteriorates. Your metabolism slows. Your body composition shifts toward higher fat percentage and lower muscle mass. Your energy levels decline further, creating downward spiral where lack of exercise makes you more exhausted, which makes exercise even less likely. Your posture worsens without the core strength exercise provided. Your stress levels increase without the stress relief that exercise provided. The physical decline from lack of exercise is substantial, and it's directly caused by the emotional exhaustion the relationship creates. The anxiety kills your appetite or drives stress-eating patterns that lead to unhealthy weight changes that affect both your appearance and your health. Anxiety affects different people's eating patterns in different ways, but in all cases the effect is unhealthy. For some people, anxiety suppresses appetite. Food feels unappealing, or actually makes you nauseous. Eating feels impossible when your stomach is tight with stress. You forget to eat because you're so consumed with relationship anxiety. This leads to unhealthy weight loss, loss of muscle mass, nutrient deficiencies that affect your skin and hair and nails, low energy that makes you look and feel unwell. For other people, anxiety drives stress eating. Food becomes comfort mechanism. Eating becomes way to manage the emotional pain. You consume more calories than your body needs, and you consume them in forms that aren't nutritionally valuable. This leads to weight gain that feels out of control, that affects how your clothes fit, that changes your body in ways that diminish your confidence and your attractiveness. Regardless of which direction your eating patterns go, the result is unhealthy change that affects your appearance. The relationship with the avoidant is directly causing the anxiety that's disrupting your normal healthy eating patterns and creating these changes. The depression saps your motivation to maintain the grooming and appearance routines that used to be normal parts of your self-care. When you're depressed, basic tasks feel monumentally difficult. Getting out of bed feels hard. Showering feels hard. The grooming routine that used to take 20 minutes now feels like too much effort. You start cutting corners, showering less frequently, not bothering with hair care beyond the absolute minimum, letting facial hair grow when you used to maintain it, not paying attention to how your clothes look, not caring about the impression you're making. This isn't laziness. This is depression making normal self-care feel impossible. But the result is visible decline in your appearance. Your hair looks less healthy because you're not caring for it properly. Your skin looks worse because you're not following the routine that kept it healthy. Your overall presentation looks unkempt or neglected because you don't have the energy to maintain the standards you used to maintain. People notice the decline even if they don't identify that it's coming from depression. They just see someone who's let themselves go, someone who's not taking care of themselves, someone who looks worse than they used to look. And the source of the depression is the relationship with the avoidant that's creating the emotional conditions where depression develops and deepens. The constant relationship stress leads to unhealthy coping mechanisms, increased alcohol consumption, smoking, poor sleep hygiene, reduced water intake, that all damage your appearance. When you're in chronic stress, you seek relief through whatever mechanisms are available. For many people, this means turning to substances or behaviors that provide temporary relief but long-term damage. Alcohol consumption increases, drinking to relax after another difficult day, managing the relationship, drinking to numb the pain of their withdrawal, drinking socially more because being alone with your thoughts about the relationship is unbearable. Increased alcohol damages your skin, creates redness, puffiness, dehydration, accelerated aging. Alcohol disrupts your sleep, even though it might help you fall asleep initially. Alcohol affects your weight and your metabolism. Some people start smoking, or smoke more because nicotine provides temporary stress relief. Smoking damages skin dramatically, reduces blood flow, depletes vitamin C, creates lines around the mouth, yellows teeth, ages you rapidly. Poor sleep hygiene develops, staying up too late scrolling through your phone obsessing about the relationship, watching television to avoid being alone with your thoughts, irregular sleep schedule that disrupts your body's natural rhythms, reduced water intake because you're not paying attention to basic self-care needs when you're consumed with relationship stress. All of these stress-driven behaviors damage your appearance in ways that compound over time, and the source of the stress driving these behaviors is the relationship with the avoidant. The relationship consumes so much mental and emotional space that you stop investing in the activities and interests that used to bring you joy and vitality that showed in your appearance. When you're in healthy state, you pursue interests, hobbies, creative pursuits, social activities, learning new skills, engaging with things that excite and fulfill you. These activities create vitality that shows in how you look. Your eyes light up when you talk about things you're passionate about. Your energy is higher when you're engaged in meaningful activities. Your overall presence radiates engagement with life, but relationship with avoidant consumes this space. Your mental energy is consumed with trying to understand their behavior. Your emotional energy is consumed with managing the pain their patterns create. Your time is consumed with being available for them when they're available, or with waiting for them when they're withdrawn. The activities and interests that used to fulfill you fall away because you have nothing left to invest in them. This loss of engagement with life shows in your appearance. You look like someone who's going through the motions rather than someone who's fully alive. The spark is gone. The vitality is diminished. People can see that something essential is missing from your life, even if they can't identify what it is. What's missing is engagement with activities that fulfill you, and what's consuming the space where that engagement used to be is the all-consuming relationship with the avoidant. Why the physical deterioration is actually your body's attempt to communicate what your mind is minimizing. The physical changes you're experiencing aren't random or purely physiological. They are your body's way of communicating that something is fundamentally wrong in your life, that the relationship is damaging you in ways your mind might be minimizing or denying. Understanding this helps you listen to what your body is trying to tell you. Your body is producing visible stress signals that would make any objective observer concerned, but you've been trained by the relationship to ignore or minimize these signals. If a friend showed you pictures of themselves from a year ago versus now, and the decline was as visible as what you're experiencing, you would be concerned. You would ask, what's going on in their life? You would recognize the physical deterioration as sign that something is seriously wrong. But when it's your own body, you minimize. You tell yourself it's just stress. You tell yourself it's temporary. You tell yourself everyone goes through phases where they don't look their best. You rationalize because acknowledging that your appearance has declined significantly requires acknowledging that something in your life is causing this decline, and acknowledging the relationship as the source would require making decisions you're not ready to make. Your body is trying to override your minimization by making the deterioration visible enough that you cannot ignore it. The dark circles, the weight changes, the skin problems, the lifeless hair, the exhausted appearance. These are alarm bells your body is ringing, trying to get your attention about the damage being done. The physical changes represent your body prioritizing survival over attractiveness because it's in chronic threat state, where immediate survival takes precedence over long-term health optimization. Your body has limited resources. When it perceives threat, and the chronic stress from the avoidant relationship is perceived as threat by your nervous system, it redirects resources toward immediate survival functions and away from functions it categorizes as non-essential. Maintaining attractive appearance is non-essential from survival perspective. Your body stops investing resources in having glowing skin, shiny hair, good muscle tone, high energy. These are luxuries for times when survival isn't threatened. Instead, your body is investing all available resources in managing the threat, producing stress hormones, maintaining high alert state, trying to process the chronic emotional pain, attempting to maintain basic functioning under extreme duress. This is why you look worse, not because you're becoming inherently less attractive, but because your body is in survival mode where looking good is not the priority. The fact that you're in survival mode, while supposedly an intimate relationship that should make you feel safe and supported, is the message your body is trying to send through your deteriorating appearance. Your declining attractiveness serves as external manifestation of the internal damage that's harder to see, but potentially more severe. If you look this bad externally, imagine what's happening internally. The visible deterioration, the aging skin, the weight changes, the exhaustion, the dull hair. These are surface manifestations of deeper systemic problems. If your skin looks this bad, your inflammation levels throughout your body are likely very high. If you look this exhausted, your cellular repair mechanisms are likely compromised. If you've gained or lost this much weight in unhealthy ways, your metabolic health is likely suffering. If your hair looks this lifeless, your nutrient absorption and your hormonal balance are likely disrupted. The external appearance is reflecting internal health status. Your body is showing you through your appearance that deeper damage is occurring, damage to your immune system, your cardiovascular system, your endocrine system, your digestive system, your neurological function. The appearance decline is the warning sign of more serious health consequences that are developing but aren't yet visible. Your body is trying to get you to pay attention before the damage becomes even more severe or harder to reverse. The loss of physical confidence becomes additional psychological burden that the avoidant relationship created. You feel less attractive, which makes you more dependent on their validation, which gives them more power while you have less. This creates a destructive cycle. When you looked better, when you felt more attractive, you had more confidence. That confidence gave you options. That confidence made you less desperate for their validation. That confidence gave you power in the relationship. You knew you were attractive. You knew others would be interested if you left. You knew your worth wasn't entirely dependent on whether this specific person valued you. But now, you look worse. You feel less attractive. Your confidence has diminished. This makes you more dependent on the avoidance validation. If they withdraw their attention, you feel it more deeply because you're not confident others would be attracted to you in your current state. This increased dependence gives them more power. The worse you look and feel, the more trapped you feel in the relationship because you doubt your ability to attract someone else. The physical deterioration the relationship caused is now functioning as a mechanism that keeps you trapped in the relationship. Your body is trying to break this cycle by making the deterioration visible enough that you recognize what's happening and make different choice. Your body's deterioration is the physical proof that loving the avoidant is costing you more than you've been willing to admit. The sacrifice isn't just emotional or abstract, but is literal, visible, measurable harm to your physical being. You might have been minimizing the cost of the relationship emotionally. It's not that bad. Every relationship has difficulties. I'm being too sensitive. It's not worth leaving over. But your body won't let you minimize anymore. The cost is written on your face, visible in your body, apparent in your overall presentation. You are paying for this relationship with your physical health and appearance. The cost is real. The damage is measurable. You can see it when you look in the mirror. You can see it in photographs. Other people can see it, even if they're too polite to mention it. Your body is making the cost undeniable so that you cannot continue to minimize what this relationship is actually taking from you. The sacrifice is too great. Your body is telling you this through every sign of deterioration it's displaying. What the physical changes mean for your future, and why protecting your appearance requires leaving the source of the damage. Understanding that the avoidant relationship is causing your physical deterioration creates clear imperative. Protecting your appearance and your health requires addressing the source of the damage rather than trying to treat the symptoms while remaining in the situation creating them. Some of the damage is reversible if you remove yourself from the chronic stress environment, but the longer you stay, the more permanent some changes become. The human body has remarkable capacity for healing when the source of damage is removed. If you leave the relationship, many of the stress-related physical changes can reverse. Your cortisol levels will normalize, reducing the inflammation that's aging your skin and creating other problems. Your sleep will improve once you're not lying awake with relationship anxiety every night. Your appetite and eating patterns will regulate once anxiety isn't driving unhealthy patterns. Your energy will return once you're not depleting yourself, managing impossible relationship dynamics. Your motivation for self-care will return once depression lifts. Your face will lose the chronic tension it's been holding. The dark circles will fade. The skin problems will improve. You can lose the weight you gained or regain the weight you lost in unhealthy ways. Your hair will regain its health and shine. But, and this is crucial, the longer you stay in the damaging situation, the more some changes become permanent or harder to reverse. Some skin aging from chronic stress becomes permanent damage to collagen and elastin that cannot fully reverse. Some weight gain, if sustained long enough, creates metabolic changes that make future weight management more difficult. Some stress-related health conditions, if allowed to persist, can become chronic conditions rather than acute responses to temporary stressor. Your body's capacity to heal decreases with age and with the length of time damage has been occurring. The imperative is clear. The sooner you leave, the more completely you can recover. Every additional month in the relationship is a month of additional damage, some of which will be permanent. Your appearance declining while in relationship with someone who's already emotionally unavailable creates a vicious cycle where they provide even less validation and warmth because they're less attracted to the stressed, exhausted version of you their patterns created. This is a particularly cruel aspect of the dynamic. The avoidance patterns make you look worse. Then they're less attracted to you because you look worse. Then they withdraw further because they're not feeling attracted. Their withdrawal creates more stress. The additional stress makes you look even worse. The cycle continues downward. They're creating the very conditions that make you less attractive to them, then using your decreased attractiveness as justification for their continued withdrawal. You cannot win in this cycle. You cannot improve your appearance enough while staying in the relationship because the relationship is the source of the deterioration. The only way to break the cycle is to remove yourself from the relationship so that you can recover physically, and then, if you're considering reconnection, only do so from a position where your appearance and health have been restored and where you can maintain boundaries that prevent the deterioration from recurring. But attempting to improve your appearance while remaining in the relationship that's causing the deterioration is like trying to heal a wound that's being continuously reopened. The healing cannot occur until the source of damage is removed. The best revenge and the most powerful statement isn't confronting them about what they did, but is thriving physically after leaving them, showing through your transformation what they were costing you and what you become without their damage. Words are cheap. Confrontations are easily dismissed or defended against. But transformation, actual visible physical transformation, where you go from stressed and exhausted and aged to vibrant and healthy and attractive again, this cannot be dismissed. When the avoidant sees you after you've left and you look dramatically better, when they encounter the version of you that's thriving without them, when they see through your physical restoration, exactly what their presence in your life was costing you, this communicates more powerfully than anything you could say. It proves that you weren't the problem. It proves that the relationship was the problem. It proves that they were damaging you and that removing them from your life allowed you to heal and become the attractive, vital person you actually are beneath the damage they were causing. This physical transformation isn't about revenge, even though it functions as the most powerful statement you could make. It's about healing. It's about becoming yourself again. It's about reclaiming the vitality and attractiveness that loving them was systematically destroying. The fact that your transformation also serves as undeniable proof to them about what they cost you is simply justice being served through your healing. Recognizing that your physical appearance is suffering gives you permission to prioritize your own well-being without guilt. You're not being selfish or giving up too easily. You're protecting your actual physical health from measurable ongoing damage. Sometimes, people stay in damaging relationships because leaving feels selfish, or because they feel they haven't tried hard enough, or because they believe they should be able to tolerate more difficulty. But when your body is showing visible signs of damage, when you look significantly worse than you looked before the relationship, when your health is declining, when the stress is manifesting in ways anyone can see, you have clear justification for prioritizing your well-being. This isn't vanity. This isn't superficiality. This is recognizing that your physical health is being damaged and that protecting your health is not only acceptable, but is necessary. You don't need to tolerate a relationship that's making you physically unwell. You don't need to sacrifice your health for someone who's not even capable of meeting your emotional needs. Your declining appearance is permission. Permission to leave without guilt. Permission to prioritize yourself. Permission to protect your physical well-being, even if it means ending a relationship where your heart is still invested. Your body is giving you this permission through every sign of deterioration it's showing you. Listen to it. The avoidant will make you physically ugly, not because they're trying to, not because they want to harm your appearance, but because their patterns create chronic stress that manifests in visible physical deterioration that compounds over time and becomes undeniable when you finally look honestly at what's happened to how you look. Your appearance isn't declining randomly. It's declining because you're in chronic stress state that's affecting every system in your body. The stress is coming from the relationship. The relationship is with someone whose patterns make genuine peace impossible. Your body is responding to the impossibility of peace by redirecting resources away from maintaining attractiveness and towards simple survival. This isn't your fault. This isn't because you're weak or because you're not trying hard enough to manage stress. This is natural biological response to being in chronically stressful situation. And the solution isn't better stress management while staying in the situation. The solution is removing yourself from the situation that's creating stress your body cannot adequately process while you remain in it. Leave. Recover. Watch your appearance transform as your stress levels normalize and your body redirects resources back toward health and vitality. Watch yourself become attractive again, not because you're doing anything dramatic, but simply because you're no longer being damaged by a relationship that was systematically destroying your physical well-being. The avoidant made you physically ugly through their patterns. You will make yourself beautiful again through your absence from those patterns. And that transformation from damaged to thriving, from exhausted to vital, from aged to youthful again, will be the clearest proof that leaving was not only the right choice, but was the only choice that would allow you to reclaim the person you were always meant to be underneath the damage they were causing. You deserve to look in the mirror and recognize yourself again. You deserve to feel attractive again. You deserve to have the physical vitality and health that make life enjoyable. None of this is possible while you remain with someone whose patterns are actively destroying these things. Leave, heal, transform, and become living proof that you were never the problem. The relationship was the problem, and removing it allowed everything about you to flourish again exactly as it was meant to flourish when you're not being systematically damaged by someone incapable of loving you in ways that don't cost you everything you are.